In today's episode, we chat with fourth-year pharmacy student Rajan Vaidya. After growing up in Anaheim, Rajan earned his undergraduate degree in chemistry from UC San Diego. We completed this interview over Skype as Rajan is working on a policy development rotation in the Sacramento office of Senator Jeff Stone. To start off, I wanted to ask, how did you first become interested in coming to KGI?
Well, so I was going through the process of applying to pharmacy schools, and there were established schools that I had applied to, and I came across KGI partly because I had a pharmacist who I worked with who was familiar with the program because a few of the faculty that were starting the program were some of his good friends. So I got introduced to KGI almost a little bit by accident, just through word of mouth, and then I finally applied. And when I applied, it stood out as the one place I wanted to be after interviewing at a few different schools. Obviously, now you're in your fourth and final year, but in that first semester, can you describe just the excitement around the program and maybe one or two things that impressed you the most in those first couple months? Yeah, so part of being in the inaugural class, there's a lot of excitement with helping build the program as it progresses forward. So spent a lot of time that first semester really just defining what the School of Pharmacy meant to KGI and what it was going to be within our profession itself. So two things that stood out for me in particular. One was the faculty, how excited they were to be a part of the process, and how excited they were to have us not only learn from them, but also grow with them in the process as well. So that was a great part of being, I guess, in the first class. And secondly, just seeing how established KGI was with the School of Applied Life Sciences, with the MBS program, helping kind of see how the School of Pharmacy and the pharmacy program in particular fit into the niche of KGI as a whole. That was a great first step in the right direction, I think. And we know that you also have a family connection. If you want to talk about that and just how that came about too, in adding your sister to the KGI experience too. Yeah, so that's it's been an interesting process. My sister, found her own path within her undergrad experience, and I kind of encouraged her along the process to consider pharmacy because she had thought about it from time to time, and then it finally came down to she was ready to apply. She applied to KGI, and for her it was a good fit as well. But now that she's been part of the program, I think it's helped build our relationship and help us get a little bit closer together because we have another bond now on top of everything else that we've gone through. And the nice part about that is, I have now not only little sister, I have a colleague within my profession that I can turn to kind of bounce ideas off of in terms of where I want to go in pharmacy, what I wanted to do in pharmacy. And she's been a constant support for me along the process, but also it's been nice to now kind of guide her through her own part of becoming a pharmacist as well. To go back to your initial interests, what started your passion or pursuit of pharmacy school? So I always say, I got kind of lucky and I fell into pharmacy, and that's because in high school I took a pharmacy tech course. In my high school, we offered a ROP or regional occupancy program course that kind of exposed us to being a pharmacy technician. I didn't know through that process that I would be a licensed pharmacy technician after I finished the course, but I was. And my instructor for that course actually offered me an internship at a hospital right after. So as soon as I became, a high school grad, starting my college career at Fullerton College, I was offered a job as a pharmacy technician. And over the span of me getting my bachelor's degree and working as a pharmacy technician, I realized day in and day out that I loved going to work. I was looking forward to my shifts. I was looking forward to the work that I was doing there. And that kind of spurred me to want to do more, because as a technician, you are limited in your abilities because of your education. So I kind of looked to see how I could expand my abilities within giving back and giving to patients. And that was, moving forward with my degree at KGI as a pharmacist. And for someone not knowing as much about the process of going through the 4 years of pharmacy school, what's your Reader's Digest version of how you kind of move through each year and building up to where you're at now?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So the way I like to explain the 4 years of pharmacy school, step one, year one, you're really just being exposed to the language that is pharmacy and healthcare. You're being exposed to the science behind the pharmacy work that we do. So it's really the general science. How do drugs interact? How does your body interact with drugs? The second year, you dive into more of how that crosses over and learning more of the actual drugs, interactions within not only the body, but now potential interactions between each drug and the body system. Third year pharmacy school is where you kind of dive into the therapeutics of pharmacy, and that's kind of where we move away from this black and white that we have into this gray area, right? So in the first couple of years, you're looking at, here's what the information is. Can you share that same information to us on the exam? Whereas the third year, now you're looking into, you have all the information. Can you tell us why this particular choice of drug would be the best one for this particular patient? That's where you really learn to personalize the course of treatment, the approaches to helping people get better. And that's kind of what that third year is. And then once you've now mastered not only the drugs, the science, the ability to personalize these medications, now let's see if you can really apply that in practice. And that's what the fourth year of pharmacy school is. And in that fourth year, you really are solidifying the ability and the thought that you will be a pharmacist, because you are now making decisions in practice with other pharmacists in taking care of patients, and that kind of helps you get ready to be a pharmacist in just a few short months. As fun and as scary at times as that can be, it's kind of the growing pains of the 4 years of pharmacy school.
Can you describe where you're at now, just in terms of the final rotation and what that's meant to you and your development?
Sure. So right now, I am actually doing a policy development rotation in Sacramento at this Capitol office of Senator Jeff Stone. So it's a very non-traditional rotation for pharmacy students, but for me and how I view pharmacy is it's a holistic approach. It's not only knowing the science behind taking care of patients, but it's also knowing the process of what it takes to deliver that patient care to each individual patient. And part of that comes with helping build and develop healthcare policies. So for me, this rotation that I'm doing within Senator Stone's office right now is really looking at how do we best take care of patients through the policies within the state. So right now, currently in Senator Stone's office, each senator is allotted 20 bills that they can introduce for ideas of how to improve the state. 9 of the 20 bills that Senator Stone has introduced are pharmacy-related bills. They have some sort of impact within healthcare and specifically within pharmacy. And I get to be a part of not only helping guide those along, but actually making recommendations on better policies through the wording in each one of those bills. So I've done some background information for committees, Senate committees that will be hearing these bills. I've done fact sheets for outside special interest groups so they can help better understand how this bill process works. And then, prepping up the senator to kind of understand what these bills are asking for and how can we move forward. And how do we garner the interest and the support of fellow senators and fellow legislators to help move this process along and really, in one way or another, support the health of Californians through better healthcare policies.
Can you share also, what you plan on doing after graduation, what you aspire to within the pharmacy field?
Sure. So immediately after graduation, I've actually accepted an executive residency at the American Pharmacists Association Foundation. And what that residency is, it's a residency in association management and leadership. And my primary focus in what I'd like to do in healthcare once I graduate from pharmacy school is actually to, in some way, play a role, whether small or big, within helping develop better healthcare policies. I've been lucky enough to not only learn from some phenomenal professors, I've also been encouraged to really see if there's better ways to take care of our patients, and who better to help make that decision than the pharmacists who are practicing, the healthcare providers that are practicing with those patients. You look in some of the legislative process healthcare in general, not only pharmacy, whether it's physicians, nurses, or anyone else, isn't really represented through the legislatures. So whether it's a senator or a House of Representative or assemblyman, not most of them don't come with healthcare background. And because of that, it's hard to really make a case for the best approach to patient care when you haven't really been a part of it. So what I would like to do in the long term, using that experience that I will have in DC through the APHA Foundation, and maybe a little bit more growing and developing, is to influence healthcare policy indirectly for some time, and then hopefully in the long term directly, either running for a position in the state Senate or some other process to really not only from the outside say, hey, here's what we think is a great idea, but internally as a colleague of these legislators say, here's what's best for our patients, here's what's best for our constituents or whoever they may be, and let's really take care of patients based off of the experience and the evidence-based medicine that we know and what we're taught through KGI and other programs to really take care of people.
That's terrific to hear about. And going back to your time in Claremont, what organizations or clubs have you been a part of during your time there?
The beauty of being the first class is we had every opportunity to be involved with a lot of organizations at KGI. I've played a hand, or I've been a member of most of the organizations within the School of Pharmacy at some point, with whether it's helping build some of the bylaws or the rules and the constitutions for these clubs. But the ones that stand out for me, the ones that I've been heavily involved in, the California Pharmacists Association by far is one that I've really not only grown and developed from, but I've gone from a chapter level position at KGI to a statewide level position on the Board of Trustees. So currently I sit on the CPHA Board of Trustees. I've been involved with the American Pharmacists Association and the Indian Pharmacists Association. And those three groups, I would say, are the ones that have really developed me as a leader within pharmacy, and hopefully will continue on after I graduate from KGI.
And certainly we want to take a moment to congratulate you on the news that came out in early March with you being appointed as the executive resident. Can you touch on what that role means to you?
The APHA Foundation's executive residency in association management and leadership, that residency means so much to me for a lot of different reasons. One, it's first of all one of the most not only competitive residencies, but a residency that really stands out because you are at the forefront of pharmacy advocacy, pharmacy growth, pharmacy development. So being able to not only be considered for that residency, which is a privilege in its own, to actually receive that position is, I'll be the first one actually from the West Coast, not only in California, but from the West Coast to ever be a resident for the APHA Foundation in DC. So on a personal level, it's, part of just being the first class is you're the first in a lot of things. But on, within my family and my background, I never imagined that I could be in a position that was so sought after. It's something that for me, my initial dream when I came to pharmacy school was, hey, I will become a pharmacist. I will practice pharmacy at the hospital I work at in Anaheim. And it's been great. There's been a lot of great things through that process. But as I've developed over time at KGI, I started to ask myself, what more can I do? How could I contribute more to my profession? And how can I, as a person, grow and develop even more? And that was really challenging and putting myself out of the comfort zone of not only what I'm used to practicing, which is a hospital setting, but also out of my comfort zone of where I've lived. I've lived in California all my life, and now I will be moving to the East Coast for the first time and really learning a lot about not only the work I'll be doing, but how to live in a different area, how to build a network in an area that I've never been to. So I think the residency for me, like I said, means a lot for a lot of different reasons, but more than anything else, it's an example of what you can become or what you can develop given the tools we get at KGI. I don't think I would have even considered this as an opportunity for myself had I not been a KGI student pharmacist. So I think there's a lot to be said of the curriculum and also the faculty that we have at KGI that really push you to want to be more and finally actually step up and do more.
Well, you certainly probably provided some of the info for my final question, but for someone who's seriously considering pharmacy school, what are a couple more benefits to them, considering KGI?
Yeah, so I talk to a lot of students that are considering going to pharmacy school. The first thing I ask them is take a little bit of time to understand yourself, understand what your needs are and who you are as an individual, and then look at the different programs. I think that the things at KGI that stand out the most, and why I am a huge advocate for KGI and in particular our School of Pharmacy program. First of all, the faculty. You look at the faculty; they are faculty that have been the top faculty at schools close by that we've recruited over. These are the best individuals that care about students, that care about the development of students, but also are experts in the field. They have the knowledge that's needed to make you a better pharmacist. So the faculty, I think they stand out more than anything else that I can think of. But in addition to that, look at our curriculum. Our style of teaching is very different. It's very hands-on. It gives ownership to the students in being a part of the development process to become a pharmacist. You go through what we call this flipped classroom model. You go to class to learn, but you go home and you listen to lectures. So you first listen to lectures when you get home, get the idea, the concepts, and then you come to KGI and you are now using that for hands-on experiences, what we call active learning with our faculty. So we hone in on the areas of the topics that you're discussing or learning and really try to understand what are the nuances that you need to know to be a better pharmacist. And then finally, the support that you get to be involved in our profession. There was a lot of times when I had to go to national conferences or statewide conferences. There's times when I had to go represent not only KGI, but pharmacy students across the state at different meetings. And the faculty and the administration was very supportive of me going through this and being a part of this process. And that's really what's helped me step up and stand out a little bit more in pharmacy, is partly just showing up. And the faculty administration make it easy for us to be student pharmacists and at the same time be leaders within the profession by supporting everything that we're doing and being flexible with the schedules, when they see fit and when it's the right time. So I think that's the three things to summarize real quickly. One, the faculty to support the amazing individuals that they are. Two, the curriculum. And three, the ability to do more than just go to class.
We really appreciate you taking the time away from your busy rotation schedule to paint this detailed picture of the KGI experience and how you've been able to, progress through it with so much success. And we can't wait to see you and your classmates walk across the stage at commencement in May. So thanks again for taking this time.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.